Welcome back to the Musicians Talk Show podcast. It is episode 116. I am Dallas DeWhite.
And I'm Matt Tolley.
And we are here to talk about music on this fine Sunday, Monday for you if you're listening, or any other day if you're listening in the future.
Yeah.
How's it going, Matt?
It's going good. How are you, Dallas?
Good.
Good. So it's looking like the COVID-19 story is developing. Stage 2 in North Carolina. I don't know if South Carolina is on any stage. I think they're wide open. Let it rip.
I think, there's like restaurants and stuff, I believe, have like a capacity limit and stuff like that. But
tattoo shops open back up, I saw. And I'm starting to see shows pop up. So I've seen a couple of small shows, nothing major, obviously. The big festivals and all major shows will be still canceled, obviously, major venues. But some small stuff, which little public stuff, and
us little guys can go peddle our wares.
That's good. That's good for the local music scene. At least there's no music you can see that's big. So to go out and waste your Friday night on a Metallica concert, you can go out and see some other
That's
stuff,
true. Yeah, maybe people will go out just to get out.
Yeah. So it's probably a good time to be a local musician right now. Everybody needs to stay safe, but
yeah, we actually booked a show. So it's outdoor, I guess, kind of small, local to us. So it's kind of a no-brainer.
Perfect. That's a good sign, man.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm interested to see who shows up.
Yeah, first of all, I would take it as a good sign that you guys, one of the first ones to get booked again. Like, booked it right up as soon as the place opened up.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of the info about it, but yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, like people are looking for good music and they found you guys first, so that's good. We're Prep and Barium. We did the little outdoor gig with our friends in Element last week, but we still haven't really booked anything or even really kind of looked at it. But we're in the middle of recording and stuff like that, which I want to get into a little bit later in our conversation. But it's good to see shows coming back and kind of like watching how this is all going to unfold again. And obviously, everybody should be a little cautious because we don't want to start like another outbreak. If something does happen, want to mitigate, make the outbreak small if if one does happen. Instead of having one big concert, one big festival, in the summertime, everybody goes in there, rubs elbows with each other, and
yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, how about the fact that they're going back on saying that it doesn't last on surfaces now? Have you seen that whole thing? They're saying now the new breaking update. The COVID-19 doesn't actually transfer to surface like they thought it did. And basically they're just rediscovering how this thing is contracted, which I thought is hilarious. 3 months into this quarantine, the whole country, and now we know how it works.
Well, I mean,
I understand there's a learning curve.
I understand that. I mean, it's science. Like every science thing ever has gone through. Like, we think it's this, and then we were wrong. But it's at least they come out and say, well, we were wrong. Here's the latest information. As opposed to just being like, we were wrong, don't tell them. Like,
right.
They're going to think we're idiots.
Who knows how long it was? I mean, they could have hid this for weeks or, whatever.
Now I heard, and I don't know any of the info, so take this with a grain of salt, but someone told me that, who seems to be pretty in the know, that the World Health Organization or whoever and the CDC, they were wrong about it early on like everyone else, but independent people started coming in and proving stuff way faster than them, and only after they started proving it did those big organizations turn around and say, yeah, we were wrong. Like, which begs the question, if those independent people weren't there,
would they have ever said
it? No, probably not.
Yeah, so that's my thought too. They'll just get the reaction they want to get or whatever, if it is some kind of conspiratorial effort to whatever, put everybody inside, or who knows. I'm not trying to get all conspiracy on you, but the opportunity exists. I think it would be naive to ignore the potential for somebody to like mass control people with one idea, that could potentially be a lie, could potentially not be true.
Yep.
Not a purposeful lie even, but it could be,
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of, there's really two sides of the coin right now, it seems. It seems like there's those that just want to kind of stay inside, do whatever the government's saying, and just, see what happens from there.
Sure.
And the other side feels like their freedoms are being infringed upon, and that the severity of the crisis does not warrant the severity of the response in this way.
They think it's overblown.
Right? Yeah, and it's one of the first times in history, I think I read somewhere, that healthy people have been quarantined.
Right.
That's not usually how it works, apparently.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's that whole thing, and this is kind of that whole goes back to like what the information is. If you can have the COVID-19 and not show signs and be totally fine, but you're still able to spread it, potentially killing somebody who has asthma or somebody who is sick already, you know what I mean,
Yep.
or old, you know, whatever it is,
Yep.
pre-existing conditions. But basically, like a totally healthy person could have the virus and pass it on to somebody who's not healthy and then would die from the virus.
Yeah.
So that's the scary thing about it. And that could be just, what if that's not true? What if that's completely untrue? And like, you know, you don't.
Well, and there's been lots of statistics, and again, who knows where I heard this or even if they're right. But what I've read and heard is, which is not a lot, is it's such a small percentage of the people that are affected, and then even a way smaller percentage of those die. And of those percentage that die, yet another extremely small percent were strictly COVID. A lot of it is other things and pre-existing conditions and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
who knows? It just seems like, you know, we can't, apparently some people are saying, I don't really know where I stand, but you can't shut down the whole country and bring the economy crashing down for 0.0001% or whatever it is, you know?
Exactly. Ultimately, it comes down to numbers and the mass majority. We can't, you know, we're not going to change the way we live to, you know, save people who are already sick. You know what I mean? It's like, and the thing is like those people who are already sick, have those pre-existing conditions, aren't they just as likely to die if they get the regular flu? Like, you know, what I mean, like
guess
they're already they're already, you know, dealing with a weak state or whatever, and they're, you know, trying to fight something else. And then if they get the flu, which is just as rampant, and just as many people get the flu every year.
Something blew my mind. Daryl's wife is, she works in a hospital. She's, I guess, some sort of nurse or something like that.
I think you said this last
so
week.
his, yeah, I may have, but his, so his information's, you know, coming from a reliable source. He said there's so many hospitals that are empty right now.
Yeah. And that's partially the scare of people think they're going to go there, even if they have a real issue with them and it's not COVID related. They don't want to go to the hospital because they're afraid of getting COVID. They think that everybody over there's got it, you know, because, oh, well, if you get COVID, you go to the hospital and, you know, but if nobody's going and there's nobody really sick from COVID in our area, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have a huge COVID number. I mean, it's actually
really funny. We, Jordan was really sick right before all this started, and she was in the emergency room twice in 1 week.
Wow.
And this is how close it was to when it started. The first time we went in, there was nothing about COVID. The second time we went in, they had like a person outside saying, "Do you think you have these symptoms? You'll have to go somewhere else." So that was how close to the cutoff of like when this started. We were in the.
Would you say that was like December-ish?
No, it was like early March, right around her birthday. Her birthday is March 14th. So it was like March 10th through 17th, sometime in there.
And they tested her, or they did not test her?
No. Yeah, she wouldn't test for
COVID.
No.
Interesting. They probably didn't have the test yet then. I'm trying to think back when they had.
I mean, it wasn't like a totally widespread thing yet. It was like just catching on. So
I remember getting really sick in December, and I know several people who told me that they got like really sick and it didn't feel like the normal flu or anything like that in December. And I thought that was weird. The timing doesn't necessarily work out, but who knows, man? I just, you know, how do you know what it is? Like, it's not like we test for every time we get sick. We don't test, you know, we don't go, okay, what did I get? You know, you just like, I got sick and, you know, I took some Theraflu and I made it out, you know?
Yeah.
Now, one thing that's a little scary about what they say about COVID is that if you take apparently if you take ibuprofen, it worsens your situation, which is what some people take, you know, when they're sick, just to get rid of their headache or to get rid of whatever, you know, but it would make your situation a lot worse if you have COVID-19. So that's like interesting stuff that would kind of scary, but
who knows? It's hard to stay on top of because there's misinformation, disinformation. Yes. There's, you know, all kinds of stuff going around. So who knows?
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't know who to trust. Like,
you read one article that says it's no big deal, and you read another one that says the world's ending. So it's like, all right, well.
Yeah. So, anyways, but that's good to see things coming back to normal. I really don't want to see a world without concerts.
I'll be very ready to stop talking about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's been the center of everybody's mind and conversation for.
Yeah, I'll be ready to stop getting emails that end with like, "Hope everybody's safe." Like
during these uncertain times.
Unprecedented, uncertain times.
Yeah. Anyway, so something that Guns N' Roses is doing through all this. I mean, while we're on the subject, they've canceled their Not in This Lifetime 2020 tour, and 2021 is still a go, I think, or
not sure.
Oh, actually, I don't even know if they've actually rescheduled it, but they've canceled the 2020 Not in This Lifetime tour, and they're doing something else instead. They're going to live stream previous Not in This Lifetime shows with pro video and audio, correct?
Right, and it's called Not in This Lifetime Selects.
Yes, that's it.
You see what we got here.
And I guess it's not going to be full shows, right? From what we gathered, Dallas, it's not going to be like they're showing the whole show in its entirety. They'll pick little snippets out of the show.
Right. This first one is Salt Lake City, Utah. So that was October, like something last year. I don't know that, by the way. I'm not that big of a fan.
Okay.
I just remember reading that.
Guessing.
Yeah, it's not like you give me a city and I'll tell you the date.
Eddie Trunk style, bro.
I'm not
He'll do
Rain
that.
Man. But anyway, this first one here, I haven't watched it. I just pulled it up yet. It came out. It did premiere, though. You were right about that. It came out 21st, so 3 days ago. And it has, it's about 13 minutes long, and it has somebody commented here, It's So Easy, and then Chinese Democracy, and then Double Talk and Jive.
Oh, nice. So they did a little 3-song set.
Yeah, but I don't think those are, if I know their typical set list, those aren't usually
That doesn't
back
seem
to
the
back.
order that it's in.
So there's probably crossfades or something in there.
Right, so they're spliced together. It'd be cool.
Oh,
if
it does
was
look
like
good,
3
though.
songs.
Really nice pro shot.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch these because I saw the tour the same day you did, August 11th, 2017, which is a while ago.
I don't remember the date.
It was August 11th. I do remember that, and it was
Nice.
2017. So that's
Nice.
crazy.
Yeah, that was really fun. I love that show, man. That's the first time I ever saw Slash live, dude.
Yeah, same. I'd seen Axl before, but actually,
me too.
again, the same time as you.
Yep. It just happened to be October as well.
Yep.
October 31st. I believe it was Halloween night.
Halloween, and that would have been 2012.
Right. Yep. That was a great show.
Yep.
That was with the Axl solo lineup. Dude, I don't know if I brought this up on the podcast, but on Chinese Democracy, dude, if you look up the description of that album on Apple Music or Spotify,
Mhm.
can you pull that up actually?
On
This
Apple
would be a
Music?
Huh?
On Apple Music? Yeah.
Yeah, just pull up the description of the Guns N' Roses Chinese Democracy album. It's written almost like a review. I've never seen anybody's album description like this before, but it's almost like a writer gave his opinion on what he thinks Axl should have done with the Guns N' Roses name. And like, dude, read it for a second. It's
That's
pretty
weird.
short.
It's loading. It'll take me a second to pull it up.
Okay, yeah. So, but I've never seen an album description that reads like a review before. Like somebody just gave his opinion on the whole thing. It's like, okay, I guess that's one way you could give an album description.
I guess a lot of them are kind of like that, though.
But you usually stick to the facts. Like what this album was recorded here. It was, blah blah with this person, this person, this person. Like you kind of just stick to like the actual facts of it. And in this guy, it seemed like he just kind of like, I don't know if Axl should have called it Guns N' Roses. Like at some point he even says that. It's like, what? Or like I forget exactly how it's worded, but I just thought it was interesting how opinionated it was. Can you pull it up so I can see it too on the screen?
I can't do it so you can see it.
Oh, okay.
Without losing your video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much. Yeah, this is just incorrect. While Rose spends much of his vocal range in a high anguished falsetto, it's not falsetto.
Right.
It's head voice. All right, so falsetto is head voice, but head voice is not always falsetto.
Right, exactly.
There's a very different power there. Falsetto
Right.
is very sweet and smooth and pure. Axl
Right.
is none of those.
Right.
All right. Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, it doesn't even seem like this guy likes it. Why did he?
Right, that's what I thought too. I was like, it's almost a negative review on an album that's where it's supposed to be a description. That's crazy. I read that and I was like, am I really reading this right now? This is the description for Chinese Democracy. I'm like, geez.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which it's sad that album never had a fair shot because it's a really good album.
Yeah, it's a great album. I stand by it.
Absolutely. 2008.
I mean, it's.
Do you remember it came out only through Best Buy? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And then I remember
that.
I had it pre-ordered and it showed up the day of.
Yeah.
So
there was
awesome.
also this like Dr. Pepper promotion behind it too. It was like
I don't remember that.
Yeah, so apparently if the album came out within a certain time frame or whatever, Dr. Pepper was going to give everybody in the whole world a free Dr. Pepper except for Slash and Buckethead. Which I thought was so fucking key that they put that in the fine print except for Slash and Buckethead. Like Slash or Buckethead gives a fuck about your free Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. Well, they can just buy it. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I'll buy a case of it. Don't worry, I'll be fine. And
I'm just actually going to
obviously-
buy the company. So
Right.
Fuck yourself.
Actually, I'll own the company before that even promotion. Before the album's done, I'll own the company.
Yep.
So don't worry about it.
Yep. Maybe not Buckethead, but Slash. Actually, his ex-wife has all his money now, I think. So
His wife has what?
his ex-wife has a lot of his money now. So
Oh yeah, I'm sure he paid out the ass. That's the way that goes.
she was like apparently fighting him in court for like ownership of some of the guitars even. And it was just like, bitch, you've never played a note. Like,
Yeah. Like what's your reasoning?
yeah.
I don't know. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So
That's what doesn't make sense for the cars either. Like when you get a divorce and like all of a sudden somebody gets this car and you're like, what? That's not even
dude,
your
none
car.
of it makes sense. Just don't get
I know.
married, I think is the
Yeah,
just
or
be in a domestic partnership.
yeah, or have a fucking prenup where what you came in with you get, what I came in with I get, what we both acquired together we split.
Yep.
Whatever. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And then that's just the prenup thing's so weird. Like how do you present that to someone to sign,
Yeah, it's not very romantic, is it?
No. But it makes
Yeah.
sense. It doesn't make sense for most people. It makes
No.
sense if you have a hugely lopsided income. Like Eddie Murphy has a brilliant bit. I think it's in Delirious. I forget who he's talking about, but the guy's worth $300 million, and he had to give his ex-wife half of it, $150 million,
Right.
for doing nothing. Like
Right.
he had every bit of that money when they got married.
Right.
So he basically like
Makes no
but
sense.
He made a funny joke that I just died laughing at this every time. I haven't heard it in a long time, but he said she goes out to the salon and works and gets $70. So now we have $300 million and $70.
This puts it in perspective for you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so good.
Brilliant. Dude, when he put out those specials, he was like, I think he was 21, I think.
So young and
And
so
he's
brilliant.
playing, sold out arenas after he's only been doing
Crazy.
stand up for like 4 years.
Crazy. And that's
3
just
years or something,
personality
like-
and charisma, man. Like he's all charisma.
He should have
thoughts are-
new specials coming out soon though through Netflix. So
I know it. I can't wait. And Dave Chappelle's another one of those people who was like just really young and just like
that's true.
How is
Yeah.
he so fucking funny? He's this young.
yeah. Have you did you see the SNL with Eddie Murphy?
Yes, where he came back and hosted it.
So at the very beginning, he brings up Dave Chappelle,
yeah.
Tracy Morgan, and I believe Chris Rock. So the four of them are standing there. And somebody makes a joke, standing right here is like 80% of Netflix budget. Because Chappelle's got like
so
multi-million dollar deal. Eddie Murphy's got like an $80 million deal, something ridiculous. Rock's got a big deal, and Tracy Morgan, they joked he's not 80% of Netflix, he's 80% of Walmart.
Walmart paid pretty much his boy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny, dude. Jesus. Oh, those guys are hilarious. Okay.
But anyway, yeah,
what are we talking about? How do we get on
the money thing, Slash's guitars and stuff. But yeah, it's like I don't know. I think if you have a lot of money and you're single, just resign yourself and don't get married.
How do you think the Not in This Lifetime live stream, so we'll call it the selects, I guess. How do you think that where it weighs in as far as monetarily compared to obviously not going out and doing
It'll just generate a lot of views, which will generate some ad revenue. That's probably it.
Right. And I mean, obviously they have no overhead. They're not going out and putting on a big show anymore, but they're still getting, something out of shows they've already put on,
That's true. I mean, it'll be a drop in the bucket compared to what they usually do, but
Right. You can't compare to ticket sales at, how much we know they are.
that tour is over $500 million now.
It's crazy.
It's like 560, I think.
That's so crazy. And they were each making like $1 million a night, the three guys.
Something like that. I don't know exactly, but
That's what I read somewhere in the beginning of the whole thing. They were talking about it's like the most.
I don't know about that because it seemed like most shows, the ticket sales averaged like, I don't know what the average is across the whole thing, but most nights it seemed like they were making like $1 to $2 to $3 million. They had a couple nights where it was like, 10 or a few threes or fours or something, but it seemed like most of them were like in the twos.
Right. Maybe it was the bigger shows that they made like $1 million a night, but it was something crazy like that. I was just like, could you imagine like walking onto a stage playing for 3 hours and then fucking walking off when you have $1 million?
Yeah, you do it for free. That's the thing.
Right. I know. Well, I'm just saying, it's just crazy that somebody would if somebody told me that was the case, I wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, I'm fucking dreaming. That's not true. But when you've, acquired the type of celebrity and fame that Slash and Axl and Duff have, they probably don't think about that so much anymore. That's part of their contract. They knew they were going to get that money, and that was, well, whatever. So they just do their job. That's crazy. What a crazy thing to have to cope with.
Yep.
I should say have to cope with to be
I mean, people like to think that fame and money kind of solves all the problems. It doesn't.
No.
Jim Carrey has that great quote. I wish everyone could get rich and famous so they can see that it's not the answer.
Exactly. It's not
because
the answer.
I mean, it just you're not going to have the same problems. You're not necessarily going to be worrying about how to pay rent, but you're going to have a whole bunch of other problems. People trying to steal your money, managers trying to get at you, ex-wife taking all your money. Like
Right. Money attracts.
Yeah.
It attracts
you're going to have a
everybody.
different set of problems that are much maybe not much worse, but can be much more insidious, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
You're gonna
on
be
the
hearing
topic
from
of Guns
family
N'
you never
Roses,
know you
you
had.
want to talk about that little clickbait headline that got you all worked
Yeah,
up?
yeah. This was really funny.
Yeah.
So Matt and I are always joking about these clickbait headlines that get us, and a lot of them are just genuinely bad.
Oh, they're so sickening.
One that sticks out like as really bad was oh god, what was it? It said oh yeah, it's something along the lines of like, you won't believe what bad word / called Duff in this tweet. And the tweet was it might not have been those people or that headline exactly, but the tweet was literally "Happy birthday, fucker," and with like a big smiley face and all this stuff, and it was just like, are you serious? Like
yeah.
But this one said something along the lines of Guns N' Roses canceled latest string of tour dates. Who's to blame, Slash or Axl?
I love that.
So I clicked it out. So I clicked it and I was like, there's no way anyone is this out of touch with like what's going on. Because clearly the dates were canceled because of COVID. Everyone knows that.
Right.
So I clicked it and I read it, or I started reading it. Let me rephrase. I'll tell you the whole story. I started reading it. The first paragraph is like, Guns N' Roses has canceled their latest string of tour dates, which can mean only one thing: Slash and Axl are feuding again. So I just lost it. I was just like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I scrolled down to the bottom. I didn't finish reading. I just scrolled down to the bottom to the comments to see what everyone was saying. First comment's pretty much what I was thinking. You fucking piece of shit clickbait writers. This sucks. And the one below that was LOL at all the people that didn't read the whole thing. So I went back up and read it. And at the very bottom, it says like, oh, wait, COVID is a thing? Okay, never mind. Something like that. Like he just basically retracts the whole story. Yeah. It was just a joke story.
Yeah, it was all just to get people worked up.
Yeah, it got me for sure.
I mean, it's like you see it so much now, you just assume that, there's another motherfucker just trying to get a bunch of clicks on this.
Yep.
And technically it still is clickbait. He still did get all those views and all the, from like whoever did click on that thing. You know what I mean? So
it's a good headline, yeah.
That's the problem, is he almost gets the paycheck, if you consider the paycheck actually somebody reading it, before they even fucking get it.
Right, pay per click, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's not, I don't know.
You just want to be able to tell the advertisers like, hey, we have this many eyes on our website.
So it's just ad space.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's sickening, kind of, and I don't like being duped by it, and I don't like being, when you're reading a bunch of them and you keep coming across them because it's so commonplace now. You keep coming across, you're like, this is all wasting my fucking time. Every time I read something that I think is potentially news.
I understand the joke ones. I get that. That's funny. This one was super clever and it really got me. Where like The Onion, it's like obvious it's a joke and stuff like that, and it has a reputation for being satire. But what I don't like are the ones like, we follow a couple of people and a couple of news organizations that are it's just like the most pointless shit. It's like they're just writing stuff because they haven't had an article today and they need something. So it's like they go on Twitter, see that Slash said happy birthday fucker, and then come up with this thing where Slash said a bad word, and it's just like, come on, dude. Like
Exactly. It's like they were going to get a story out of it no matter what. If there's no story, they don't care. They're going to get a story.
Yeah, like one of them was like, Slash posts all the like nude art and stuff on Instagram. Right. And one of the articles was like, you won't believe something like this. You won't believe the graphic photo Slash just posted on Instagram or whatever. And it says fans are in uproar or something like that. It implied heavily that people were very upset with Slash for this. So I went and I skimmed through the article. I went back to Instagram, found Slash's exact thing, and clicked on the comments. And every comment is like, nice, cool, awesome. Like not one person was like, I'm upset. Like,
do you imagine how strange that must be for somebody like Slash when if he sees these headlines and goes, what? Like, are they serious? Like, and I'm sure it's happened his whole career. I'm sure it's not, this is not new. It's just changed its form, to a clickable fucking form. But it used to be in magazines, like they've written about it in their songs. Like, like how unfair the media is to them and how they write these things in there without care for the band themselves or what the fans want to hear. They just fucking print what they think is going to get the most rage or get the most, whatever.
Yeah. When you said you wonder if Slash sees it, it reminded me of this quote, which is one of my favorite quotes ever. I don't know who said it, or even if I'm quoting it right, but it's
Lions don't care about the opinions of sheep.
No, that's kind of like a little rude almost, but it's every successful person has a pool, and none of them have the time to get in it.
Right.
So it's like, once you get to a certain level of success, you literally don't have the time to like go look at these articles. That would never cross your mind. He's not on Facebook. Right. He's got a team of people doing Instagram for him. Like, he's not involved in the day-to-day stuff. He's not. He doesn't see your comments. He doesn't give a shit. He's just busy doing stuff that like continues to keep him successful and what he likes to do. which is making
That's
music.
interesting. I mean, we have Instagram and we have Facebook. We find it somewhat enjoyable to connect with people on there.
I'm about to delete my
know.
Facebook, by the way.
Huh?
I'm about to delete my Facebook. I'm over it.
Are you? I'm considering definitely spending less time on it. I mean, I wanna, do my thing and share with people, but I also don't want to fucking be consumed by it. But I don't think we find a little bit of enjoyment out of it, like the connection aspect of it to people, like whatever, like what me and you both share our music, we share stuff on there, and there's a little bit of that where you get some back, you get to like see the connection your music's making, that kind of stuff. I don't know if at that point at his level he's interested in that connection. He's probably got a million people that just will literally message him, of his closest friends, that'll tell him, and people that he respects in the music industry, that'll tell him what they think about his album and stuff. Yeah, so maybe it is a different thing when you get to that level. I never
Yeah, and
that.
there's so many levels before you get to that level, like
Sure.
there's so many levels of fame, and those guys are kind of at the top of it, and that's just a different world that no one that's not there can understand. And that sounds, and there's no way they say that to us, the little people, so to speak, because there's nothing they can say to us that doesn't sound condescending. So I'm sure they just say it to each other. But like, you hear stories of like Bert, even at his kind of mid-level of fame, of people just like walking by his house and talking to his daughters, like asking if Bert's home, just like wildly inappropriate stuff that a normal person should not be doing. Right. And it's just like that lack of privacy, like that celebrities have. It's just all kinds of stuff. I've never been one of those people to be like, oh, boo hoo, you have millions of dollars. Like, I've never been that way. I totally understand. I don't understand innately, but I can understand how that's going to just come with its own set of problems.
Yeah, you're capable of understanding what that is going to do to your life. And you can just put yourself in his shoes for a second. It's like, oh yeah, if somebody was constantly wanting to know, like what I'm doing all the time, and there's somebody like outside my front of my house talking to my daughters, when you're in that, even in that level, you're just like, okay, well, this isn't normal stuff. Like, people don't just come up, like, fame is a weird thing, and it does make.
Well, yeah, I mean, thinking about quarantine and how people are bitching about this small quarantine we've had, where someone like Brad Pitt hasn't gone outside like in years. A decade, because he just can't go outside without getting mobbed. So he's got to send people out to the grocery store, send people out here, send people out there, all while I'll assume he's, on a lot or in his, gated community or whatever,
Yeah, depending on like where he's problems. At. He lives in different places in different worlds. People like that live in different places at different times, depending on what they're doing, obviously. But yeah, I'm sure they have their getaways where they can be outside and do stuff. But when they're like, when they're in their city and they're wherever, they're shooting a show in Los Angeles or a movie in Los Angeles, they don't go anywhere. They're staying inside,
There's a video, I forget where I saw it, but it was Chris Hemsworth was in a limo or some sort of town car or something. And he's driving down the interstate. Like he's not driving, but he's in the back. Right. And they're going fast. It's not like they're stop and go with like city traffic or whatever. They're like on a highway. Cruising. Doing 60 or so. And there's people, there's like 4 or 5 guys in motorcycles driving up to the window and like hitting it like with papers for him to sign. And he's like, what? Like he rolls down the window and grabs a paper. He's like, all right, chill out, dude. Like people are animals, dude. Yeah, I think he did. He kept telling him like, chill out. Like, we'll do this later. Like,
oh man,
dude, I cannot understand that behavior at all.
That's the whole Princess Diana thing. That's the idea, like that paparazzis are crazy and they'll do whatever it take to get a picture, even kill the person in the car. You know what I mean? Like, remember that Princess Diana
no,
story?
I'm not familiar with the story. I know a little bit, but I'm not super familiar with it.
She was, essentially the story is that she was ran off the road by paparazzi. They crashed, trying to get away from the paparazzi.
And there's some conspiracies around that death, right?
There is. Yeah. There's a lot of shit around it, but the idea being that they're paparazzi are out of hand. It's crazy, and then being famous adds,
Yeah, you should be able to respond with violence, I think.
Hey, man. If you feel like you're in threat of your life's being threatened, like a guy on a motorcycle banging on your window down the highway, man, maybe you should be
just do a little swerve, knock him off.
Anyways, I don't know if I want to read the headline, Chris Hemsworth kills motorcycle rider for trying to get his autograph.
That's what it would be. Hemsworth murders fan. It's just like, wait a second, that's not exactly how it went down.
Anyway, so all that to the clickbait, I guess, is where we got onto that whole thing. Just like, fucking, if you're famous, you're gonna get these crazy stories written about you, and
and you have no control over it. Now the good news is, like we were saying, they'll never know this story was written about him. So
he's hopefully
not worried about it.
Enough he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
So I sent to you the other day the Sunset Sound video with Warren Hewitt.
Yeah,
Hewitt. That's it. Sorry,
Hewitt with an R.
But so from Produce Like a Pro, and it was a really cool video basically of how they tried to recreate the Van Halen 1 sound in the same studio with the same, setup of mics. They had the mic list and all the equipment list, and obviously they still have the same room at the studio. Sunset Sound's an old studio, it's very famous, and they had a bunch of I'd say 14-year-olds, like they were like in that age, like 12 to 14 or something, 11
Yeah,
maybe.
young
I think
kids
it's
for
almost
sure.
11, something crazy like that. But they had those kids play all the songs on Van Halen from front to back, and they had several guitar players. I think they split up the guitar duties, maybe just to make it easier for
Yeah, they
the
had like
drums.
5 guitar players or something
Yeah.
crazy.
So that was cool that and then even they did, they had two of the kids do Eruption, a girl and a boy, and they both did them in one take, which I thought was awesome. And they had the complete setup. So they had the plate that they fucking use for that echo effect that that get on all the guitars, and the
Right.
big
The
deep,
room. Yeah.
that echo chamber. And man, it nails that tone. And then he actually brought in his amp to nail the Van Halen guitar tone too,
Yep.
which man, it was just really cool to watch. But the big thing that I got out of it is just what a great in-depth kind of look at what Van Halen did to record that album. Even though it wasn't actually Van Halen playing it, you can hear the results and they sound like, damn, like that is how they recorded that album. It's not Eddie playing guitar and it's not Alex playing the drums, but it's there. The sound is there.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, it was really interesting to see. I kind of skipped through it a little bit because it was super long. But
check out I don't know if you looked in depth on the drum.
Yeah,
setup,
I watched all
dude.
that. Yeah.
Dude, all those SM57s, dude, just on everything. 2 in the kick, 2 SM57s in the kick.
Yep.
One on each side of every tom.
Those were 421s though. Those weren't 57s.
What's that?
421s on the toms.
Oh, on the top tom.
Yeah.
On the bottom, there was SM57s though.
I don't remember what was on the bottom, but they did mic the bottom of every tom, which was really weird.
Yeah, and I've seen that a lot actually. I've been kind of looking at that. A lot of producers do that now, or engineers do that now.
The problem with that is, I mean, it's good to mic, every possible thing you can, but if you're on a budget and you have, one interface, you run out of inputs really quickly.
Right.
So
exactly.
You can't double mic every single drum. Now, if you have unlimited inputs or, 64 inputs and you're just doing drums, like, yeah, go nuts.
Exactly.
You'll probably won't use half of them, but
exactly. You probably won't even use them because you're just kind of looking for what sounds good, and if you want to add body to like a certain drum, or all the toms need more body, then you can at least add the back side of it too. If you find that's what it needs, the sound needs. But I thought it was interesting that they said in that basically the mics that they used were the cheaper version of the SM57. So we know the SM57's quality. Me and you have used them extensively. We love them. They're only $100.
And they frequently go on sale for like 80.
Right. So they go on sale for like $80, and you can get, these they're very affordable and bulletproof and great mics, like they're really awesome. And Van Halen on their first album, they're, only used the cheap budget version of them, but they had, one on each side. Well, no, if they had the 421s on the top, but I think they had the budget version on the snare, on the bottom of the snare.
Yeah. It wasn't even the 57. It was like the cheap 57 version.
Yeah, well, I forget what it was. The model.
Yeah, it was like it was 3 digits. It was like 426 or something.
Right, something like that. Yeah. Right, and I just thought that was super interesting, and it kind of goes back to, it's not about the gear, it's about how you use it, man. Like, and it's and it's gonna color your sound. Your gear is gonna color your sound a little bit, but does that really matter ultimately? Like, how much different does it make? If you're you have a little bit darker of a tone or a little bit brighter of a tone, it doesn't ruin anything. It just kind of changes the sound of it.
Yeah.
And all that is changeable through EQ. All that is very, EQable, and it definitely, saves time if you get a great sound right from the mic and right from the drums and stuff like that. But it's not unlivable. It's not unworkable, So I kind of just found that interesting, and how, first of all, they used the fact that they used almost the same mic on everything. They used it on the 57 copy, or whatever you want to call it, budget 57, on the guitar cabs, on it just seems like they used it on everything. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah,
because they would crazy. Normally people would tell you not to do that, because you end up with kind of the same frequency range in all the all the inputs. Basically, you're picking up the same kind of like whatever that diaphragm picks up of that microphone. Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I get that. The source is different though every time. So
right, the source is different, and yeah, exactly. But I guess they worry about the packed up frequency ranges where you're getting like everything is getting super saturated. But maybe that's what gave it its sound too. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know. It's also, I mean, a lot of the older records weren't necessarily, like, they don't necessarily sound the best, like sonically, compared to modern standards.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they're not good or that the writing's not amazing. But some, and I'm
Exactly.
not saying that about the Van Halen one,
Right.
but
No,
some of
I
them,
know exactly what you're saying.
really aren't awesome, like sonically.
Exactly. Exactly. Like the first Motley Crue record is like notorious for being just like kind of just way out sound. Like just doesn't sound like a
And the
produced record.
Metallica early ones.
Yeah, exactly. The Metallica. Yeah, exactly. But the songwriting was there and the energy was there and the, whatever, everything was there. And then by the time they'd had basically proven themselves in the songwriting area, the next record they were able to afford or, at least attract attention of somebody who could help them out and make that thing sound, like a real record sounds, like something clear and crisp, which is mostly what artists want. They just want their music to come through clearly. You know what I mean? And sometimes it does, your recording does have a coloration on it and it has a, whatever, from your limitations of recording, but it also adds that character, now that record sounds like it does forever. And, it doesn't have to be, perfect as long as it's good,
Yep.
as long as people enjoy listening to it.
Yeah, that's very true.
I don't know. So it's interesting. Some people get caught up in the gear and stuff like that. And we know, me and you, Dallas, we understand that like gear isn't everything. Like it's performances. It's
it's easy to spend
big.
all your time looking at, what drum mics you want versus playing the drums, like.
Right. And it's not like we're recording through a console, which has, a lot of people say that consoles add like a vibrance and a color to it, especially analog consoles and stuff like they add a certain, whatever ambiance to it. I don't know what you call it, but it's very nuanced, but it makes things sound warm and nice, if we're not recording drums through that. So how much does getting the best microphones, that money can buy really matter? I mean, you get good response and stuff like that, low noise, like there's definitely things that come along with it, but ultimately, you know what I mean? Like you're still going through maybe, who knows, like if you're going through even the Focusrite stuff, how great it is, it's still not a console analog board. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
And, and the Focusrites are excellent for anybody trying to record drums on a budget. It's I actually just purchased two myself because our kit is so freaking big. We need 16 inputs. And we don't need 16 inputs, but that's the way to do it. Apparently you can link those two Focusrite. Dallas, you told me about this. I don't know why I'm fucking acting like you don't know what I'm talking about. The Scarlett links right up with the Octa Pre.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently you can link any of those audio interfaces with that optical cable.
Yeah, with the optical cable. Yeah, that's all you need, I think.
Yeah. So as long as you're using,
as long as you have a master and a slave.
Exactly.
If you have two masters,
one as
the
brain, whichever one you want to use, like I guess the software aspect or even the pre's themselves. Is it using the pre's from the secondary one still? The pre?
Yeah, wherever the mic's plugged in, that's where the.
So that's using the pre, but then the brain itself is going off of the master.
Really, just the clock. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. But so this is something I'm just coming to understand myself, and you told me before and explained to me how it works. But it's interesting to me because it is the more affordable way. You can get a Scarlett Focusrite Scarlett for $500, I think, maybe $600. I think. Dallas,
yeah, the Scarlett. Yeah, I think it might be $599 or $499.
Yeah.
Which one are we talking about? The 18920.
That's one interface with 8 inputs. And if you get the Octo Pre, which is a little cheaper, I think it's like $399 or $499.
Yeah, it's $100 cheaper. Yeah, so the 18920, the new model here, this is the one I have, $500, and then the Octo Pre, the new version of that, which I think I have. This one is $100 cheaper because it doesn't have it can't like
you can't record directly through it, can you?
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's just a slave. So it's basically 8 more pre's that add to your brain that is your Scarlett.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as like recording drums and stuff like that and getting an actual a good drum sound, you know what I mean? Like you're not recording.
Yeah, like it's not an interface by itself. It doesn't have USB or anything like that.
There you go. Right. So it doesn't even have that connectivity.
It's just an extender, basically.
Exactly. So, and then just a step, I think just a step above that is the Claret model, which I think is recent. I'm not 100% sure, like how
it's like a step up, I think, from the
and it has Thunderbolt connectivity, which is one thing that I was really interested in because we did just get an iMac, and I definitely want to utilize the fastest way to interface with the audio. Essentially, you're trying to get the audio into and through your speakers with lowest latency possible. And obviously the best quality, just something that's not going to color it too much or, you know what I mean, and put us in a weird, make noise or anything like that. So put us in a weird hole. But so this would be my first experience recording drums and stuff like that. I'm really excited. But one of the things that and Dallas, hopefully you can shed some light on this, for me and for anybody else. But drum rooms have always been kind of an interesting thought to me, because I've heard you can take a great room, put the drum kit in the wrong spot, and make it sound, make a shitty recording. Like if you don't like really read the room and understand like where the sounds are coming from, and where you're getting the best reflections, and how to put up sound barriers and stop certain reflections. um, from what I understand, and just maybe you can expand on this, you want one wall that's dead and one wall that's reflective, so that way you get like it's not bouncing back and forth and back and forth. It bounces back one time, and that's what you get. You know what I mean? You almost get like that slap back. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm
I
definitely not an expert on rooms or acoustics or anything, because I've spent most of my recording knowledge is like in the box, direct, that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So I haven't done as much drum recording as I would like, because I've just always lived in an apartment, never had the space,
right.
So
Yeah, I've only
until
had one
recently, didn't
experience
even
in
have the
when we
equipment. So I still don't own a full set of drum mics. I have to like borrow
right.
from whoever.
Right.
So
Yeah, I'm just purchased them myself, and this is kind of a big undertaking, but I like the idea that we have the time, as much time as we want to put into it. If we want to totally be experimental and record the drums, for this next EP that we're doing in a completely remote location that we've never tried before, and just go for it. And then turns out those don't work out, we can just do it again. We can go out and record them again somewhere if we want to. We could experiment, and we don't have a ton of time, because we have a time limit that a timeline that we want to abide by. But we do have some time to experiment and learn
yeah, I
a
think you
little
should
bit.
definitely go DIY. I mean, there's no reason you can't track everything yourself.
Exactly. I mean, when we tracked at the Playroom, the first record we tracked our drums there, we ended up not even using the acoustic drum sound. We ended up sampling the drums, because we didn't feel we captured good sound. So
Yeah, they weren't captured very well at all. I remember
yeah,
one of the toms was like
yeah.
clipping. Like
Yeah,
every hit
it
was
was
clipping.
totally
Yeah.
totally useless. It was a completely useless signal as far as acoustically, but we could use it as far as timing, like when David hit the drum, like then that's
Yep.
what we ended up doing. So we ended up sampling the drums, which sounded fine. We got over it, but
Well, that's the sound of the kind of thing that you are, though.
that's true.
It's
It's
like
true. It's a very
you
metal
if you want to
sound.
sound like a metal band, a modern metal band, like you need
Yeah,
that huge
yeah.
sampled sound.
Yeah, but I also feel that if we capture good, I think we can get a better, like a more rock sound in a metal genre type sound. I mean, like even this next EP definitely leans more rock than the first one, the first album did. Like
Hmm.
there's some straight up just metal fucking like thrashers in the first one, and now with this EP, I really feel like we're kind of opening things up. And if we can, and I love the sound of that drum kit. I always have, like in a room, it sounds great. And then I've never been, the only time we tried that we recorded for the album, we have not been able to capture that sound,
Yeah.
and put it on a record, which I would just really like to do that. And if this one isn't perfect or whatever, we make a mistake, then it is what it is. Hopefully we get something, good, and we can, it sound decent. Worst case, we sample them again, worst case that they're totally shit and we have to sample them again. Maybe next time we'll get it. But I do have a good feeling just from all the research we've been doing, and like that's kind of how I came across that Van Halen video from Produce Like a Pro,
Hmm.
is like just looking at like setups. And dude, you can go back and you can look at Metallica's recorded every recording session. I mean, every album that they've recorded, all the sessions they record it. They just have cameras in the studio everywhere. So guess what? You
That's
can go.
one thing that's one reason I wish we like went to a studio as a group and did a recording, because we could get some in the studio footage. But that's
Right.
not how we record at all. We record on our own time in our own studios
Yeah.
more often. So we record over the span of months. It's not like
Right.
we're there for like
You
6 days or
you
whatever.
guys could do right. You could do footage of like you in individually doing your tracks and stuff like that, and put them together.
Yeah,
And
but
that's the
then
kind of
the
thing
whole point of the studio footage is like,
to
the
get
two guys in the
camaraderie.
lounge making jokes,
Sure,
or
sure. The camaraderie of
messing
it
with
all
the
and the
other guy.
fun.
Yeah, if you just see like a video of me playing guitar by myself, like that's not very
Right, I
engaging.
know. Right. It's not as fun to look at, and it's not
Yeah.
it's just I get that totally. But uh I forgot what I was saying, where I was going with that. But the being able to do it ourselves for me is going to be super liberating, even if it doesn't work out and the first time. And I'm prepared to fail the first time, and I'm prepared to and actually I've enlisted our friend Paige Dallas. I hit her up just recently, and she should be around while we're recording, so it'd be really nice to have her just come and who's actually interned under Warren Hewitt. So it's kind of interesting. I'd kind of forgotten that when I sent you that video and you said that, oh yeah, that's who Paige interned under. I was like, oh yeah. But anyways, she says she doesn't have a lot of experience recording drum kits or anything like that either, but she would become glad to come and hang out and whatever, offer her insight, whatever she does, understand about it. So, but I'm gonna try to have a garage where I'm at right now, and it's fairly empty. With a little bit of work, I could totally back like some stuff out, get some stuff out of the garage, and have a completely empty garage. And I'm gonna try and record there. And it's a big garage. It's not a small like 2-car garage. It's probably 4 times the size of a 2-car garage. And I'm just gonna put him in the middle of the room and see how that sounds or whatever, or try some different things, check some acoustic stuff.
Yeah,
I guess
if it's a typical garage with like metal walls, you're probably gonna have some trouble.
Yeah, this is cinder block walls, and I'm definitely gonna do some kind of treatment. I'm not 100% sure what yet, but I'm gonna put rugs down for sure on the floor, and then I'm going to do something with one wall, and then hopefully have a reflective wall. But it's a lot of it kind of open to experimentation at this point. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, but like I said, the flexibility of having all the stuff yourself to be able to experiment and try. And we can do it for 5 days in a row if we have to. Go out there and move the drum kit, try it again, move the drum kit, try it again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing like having that. And we have a good team of guys now, that want to come and help out. So that's nice. We've had our friends from the beginning, and they seem to really want to help out. So that's helping.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Everybody grab a drum, move all the drums.
Yeah, it seems like lately we've been, on my side of things, been really disjunct. Like everybody's different places doing different things. Doesn't feel very unified lately.
With the quarantine, it's been weird already. I mean that adds a lot to it. Because you can't do anything. I mean, even if you do get together, what can you do? You can sit around in a room together for as long as you can stand. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it feels like. You're just like, well, we can only stand each other for this long before we start getting on each other's nerves, or before it's just not productive anymore.
Right.
So there's that, and then you can't go you can't go out and do anything to blow off the steam. You can't go out to get a bite to eat at your favorite restaurant. You can't, like whatever. So it's weird, man. It totally is weird. I'm ready to get back to normal and like actually do podcasts in person again.
Yeah, that'll be fun. We got to go sit out at Moe's, somehow find a way to film it.
No, dude. It's convenient to do it this way, but it's not the same.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I think things will more or less go back to normal, though.
I really am hopeful for that. I'm optimistic and hopeful for that. But there's just having the possibility that could not be the case. Like we may never have a show over 3,000 people or 2,000, whatever. And that's a lot. That wouldn't rule out too many shows. But just anything changing like that, I wouldn't want this to be the turning point of our musical the way everything the way everything goes. Our musical flow. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, for sure.
Myself.
Yeah, I don't really foresee any of that happening though. I mean, I think things are gonna kind of go their course and then pretty much go back to normal. I mean, or at the very least, they're gonna feel normal because we're all living day to day. So day to day feels normal.
Yeah. In the very beginning of this whole shit, we talked about the bird flu and swine flu and how they came and went. You know what I mean? And this is probably just another one of those. And I still think that it's probably just going through the phase.
Just a bigger mid phase.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And we shut down the whole economy for it. So it seems more serious, but that's just a decision that the government decided to make. So it's not necessarily that this was that more serious. It could have just been kind of a scare.
Right.
And there's lots of other things at play, political things and, things like that that's going on that could potentially be a motivation to do something like that,
Yeah. Who knows? I just not trying to worry about it too much, trying to just do my thing.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
Yeah. Same here. Been doing the tracking and getting ready to do the recording the drums. So I've been tracking a lot of guitars just straight to the grid to try and get some kind of, the essence of the song laid out. And
are you using amps or just going direct or what?
Going direct, yeah. I borrowed a good buddy, Mike Prescott's Kemper, since he's not using it right now. The Hawthorns are currently on like kind of a hiatus, and there's no shows being going on for COVID. So he's like, "Yeah, man, just take it." And I was like, "Dude, you're the fucking man." So I was super grateful for that. But eventually, I'm gonna get one. I've been talking about it forever, but eventually, I'm going to get one.
Just bite the bullet and get it off AMS and make the payments.
I know it. That's what I need to do.
They've gone so far down in price too. You can also get one through Reverb. And Reverb has Affirm. I don't know if you've ever used them.
Yeah, I know they have it. I've not used it, I don't believe.
It's basically like a loan. They'll basically buy it for you, and then you pay them back plus whatever interest you have. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
Either
I
way, you can
consider-
make payments on it, so you don't have to dump. But I mean, when I bought mine, it was like 20. I want to say it was like 2,400, 2,700,
That's
something
about
like that. And now you
With
can
the
get them
pedal
for
and
like
everything.
15, easy.
Yeah, well, with the pedal, right? And you got the powered unit.
No, I
Which
didn't. Pedal came out way after I had my camper. That thing
Oh.
didn't even
So
exist
now
when
you
I
can
got my
get that
camper.
that for with the pedal for that price.
Yeah, and then the power rack is why mine was so expensive because of the
Yeah.
power amp, but which I
you
never
want-
use. So,
Yeah, exactly.
but it is
you
nice to
want
have.
the capability.
It is nice to have the option. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I right now, obviously, he's let me borrow this through the EP recording, so we're gonna do these 4 songs, and use it for that. But obviously, now that we have the ability to record ourselves anytime we want, other than the Kemper, I need to get one for the next album. I mean, I like the convenience of not having to, first of all, not having to wear headphones or isolate your cabinet somewhere, like have a place to do that. And also, I like the idea of the perfect tone being consistently coming out of it. Like there's no like, oh, the microphone moved over a half an inch. Now I'm getting this tone and it doesn't match this other tone right here. You know what I mean? It's because there's so many factors and variables.
Yeah, or like, you track song A and it sounds great. And then
Right.
song B you do a month later and you have to set everything back up and it's not anywhere close to the same. Like,
Exactly.
And you don't like it
cannot-
as much necessarily. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't beat the consistency of the Kemper, and then all the options it lends is so crazy. You could profile your amp in several different settings and get such a good capture of what that amp is in like a few different profiles basically, and really have the essence of your amp right there at your disposal to record direct in. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've A/B'd them, like Dallas was the first one to enlighten me about this, and I A/B'd my amp versus the Kemper, and I picked the Kemper bike. I think every time I was like maybe 2 out of 3 times or whatever it was, but I picked the Kemper, and my only thought process there was like, I'm gonna go with what sounds better, assuming that the Kemper is probably not doing as doing my amp justice. But when I picked the better amp, I picked the Kemper. So what does that tell you? Is it better that in my ears at least, or what I was playing through? Because I was feeling it and hearing it.
And we were pretty isolated when we did that. We had in-ears on,
Right.
and then ear muffs on over that. So we had the amp blaring in the room, and you could not even hear it. You were only hearing the mic on the amp direct to ears, or
and I was in the other
Kemper.
room.
Yeah,
and I was in the next room over, so it made it so I was like I couldn't tell obviously what I was playing through, and the sound was basically just completely by my ears, and no couldn't feel it. It was nothing like that. So that's what makes it. It's how it reacts in your hands too. It's something about that. It's like more crisp and attack. It's got a built-in noise gate, which is amazing. And the fact that you can download any amp, like not only profile your own amps, you can download anybody else's amp from around the world.
They have basically like a
one-of-a-kind slash amp or something like that, and they profile it. Guess what? Now you've got that one-of-a-kind slash amp, whatever. And not that it's that super important. It's not as cool as having the actual amp, but it is amazing to be able to get some, tones that are previously unreachable. Like how would you have gotten that before? It's pretty amazing. And there's lots more you can do with it too, live and whatnot, going direct out into having the same show sound every night, no failures of tubes or no anything like that. So it's definitely the route I want to go. It's just biting the bullet and diving in for me.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll probably have one by the end of the year. I think I gotta have one.
Yeah, just set a goal and do it if that's what you want.
I know.
If you're on the fence about it, then don't do that. But if it's something you really want, then just do it.
Yeah, now that I've just blew my wad on all the drum stuff, that should be taken care of, and we got a new computer. So
what bikes did you get?
I got the Audix, the D series ones.
Just the Audix set.
Yeah, the DP7 kit is what we got, and then I added another D2 and another D4 and another D6. So one of each of what's in the kit.
Yeah,
because we need another bass drum, we need another tom, and we need another floor tom.
Yeah, so this is the one that we have as well. So it's just kick is the D6, i5's basically a 57.
Yep.
2 overheads.
Yep. And then I have a 57 that I'm going to use for the bottom of the snare because I want to capture the bottom snare to help make sure that snare tone is right. We'll be able to mix those two together and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then the overheads should be decent to capture the cymbals. And then I'm going to use my Telefunken AK-47 as a room mic. And I'm going to roll it around on that stand that I have, and I'm going to try and find a sweet spot in the room with the drums every time, and hopefully blend that into the overheads and everything to help give more ambience. Especially since I guess I'm not supposed to talk about this, but we're coming out with a Halloween EP, so we're trying to make a dark and deep sounding, record. Like, we want it to sound like, you know, the only word, it sounds kind of corny, but spooky. I want to make it sound fucking like dark and heavy. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping to be able to capture that in like a garage and with a room mic and all that. So
Yeah.
that's the plan. I'll let you know how
That sounds
how it
cool.
all works
Yeah.
out. We'll see.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah, I feel a little bit overwhelmed as far as like the amount of work I'm gonna have to do and like what the learning curve and all that. But I do feel optimistic that we'll get it. Whatever it takes, we'll get it.
Yep.
So, anyways, we got all that coming.
Nice. Anything
stuff.
else? Can't stop yawning. Anything else on the list?
I don't really have anything else. Just excited to get back to it normally. I mean, I feel like we're maybe a couple weeks out from just things being like totally like, all right, we're back to normal, It's gonna be a little trepidatious at first, but
yeah, when gyms and bars open, I think that's when it'll be like, we're good.
Once gyms are open, I think that's the sign, because gyms are definitely the place where the most, I would say, shared germs are, where everybody's touching the same things and everybody's sweating all over everything. Like, that's a pretty obvious one where germs are shared.
Yep.
So
a lot of heavy exhaling.
Yeah, a lot of breathing.
Yep.
A lot of spot me, bro.
Yep. Fist bumps. Totally. Yeah. Everything. Saunas and stuff too.
Yeah. It's another one. I mean,
so
you know kind of how contagious those places are because of how stringent they are about wiping things down afterwards. Because you're just like, yeah, that is kind of gross, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. But, dude, I can't stop yawning. Yeah, I miss my gym. I'm ready to get back.
Yeah, man. I think everybody's ready. Well, almost everybody. I'm sure there are some germaphobes that are just like, no, we can never go back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine, I thought about that, dude. Germaphobes, man. Like, they've got to be like, I told you, like, this is their I told you moment.
Yeah.
I told you what was going to happen if you guys didn't wash your hands.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I'm probably like 50-60% germaphobe.
50-60%?
Yeah, not fully, but
is it a back and forth thing, or is it just like
I probably wash my hands more than anyone you know. I'd be willing to bet that.
Yeah, probably. I wash my hands after I go to the bathroom pretty religiously. I don't think there's any fucking around when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I probably should be like more conscious of like when I'm walking through doors and all this thing, like I should probably wash my hands like shortly after.
Yeah, I have like a sixth sense of when I've touched something that needs to be handled, because like I bite my nails really bad, and if I touch anything like handrail or door or anything like that, I stop biting my nails until I wash my hands.
Yeah, well, there you go. Then
it's
you
just
can't
like a weird mental block. Yeah,
that's interesting. Oh, dude, I started to tell you this book, and you are familiar with it. This is a great book for anybody who is looking for motivation to stay determined and stay like on the path.
Yeah, and that's for those not watching, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, for the audio listeners, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And it's really good. It's basically it's stories and kind of a step-by-step kind of analysis of what successful people have done. And basically like and also failure stories, like, and what they did wrong, and like where, like how close they were to success before they quit or whatever, that kind of thing. And it basically is ultimately I think the moral, and I'm only 50 pages in, so I can't really tell you what the whole book synopsis is, but if you've read it, Dallas, you expand on it. But
yeah, it's been a long time since I read it, though.
If you never stop doing something, if you continue on and you truly do love what you're doing, and you will get better at it, and you will be somewhere afterwards. And depending on how much work you put into it and how much effort and how you approach, the whole thing, it will depend on whether you're successful or not. But you have to number one prerequisite is never quit, and constantly, stay motivated and push yourself to be better. And and then ultimately you'll reach a point where you'll stand out amongst other people. And that is the goal. That's what we're trying to do as, artists. We are trying to make the best product we can. We're not killing ourselves for it, where we shouldn't be. At least we should be, living the best life we can, but also making the best, art we can. Also, never quitting, never giving up, And it also is great it has some awesome, just inspirational stories that'll keep your your mind positive. I think, it's just really good to read. And I kind of just read it a little bit at a time. I pick it up and I go, I'll read another chapter, read another, few pages. And every time I walk away going, yeah, man, I'm ready to, get to work. So just that in itself is worth it. But also just maybe some insight on what successful people have gone through and what they've, how they did what they did and stuff. So.
Yeah, good mindset book for sure.
Exactly. And the Ari Herstand book we also totally recommend. He doesn't pay us anything for this, but we just think it's so crucial.
It's a really good practical book.
Yeah, so it's how to make it in the new music business, and now it's been updated. Is it called 2, Dallas, or is
just
it
the second edition? Yeah,
second edition. That's it. So yeah, go get that too, because so much information on that as a starting out musician to understand how to get in the door, how to get a gig, how to get your first gig, what gigs to take, how to negotiate the money, all that. Like he already does the business side of it, such justice, especially for now's, today's modern musician.
Yeah, for sure.
Versus somebody, in the 80s waiting for a record deal to come on. Just play as many shows as you can. You're waiting for a record exec. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
Like that is not the way it works now. If you're still thinking that, you need to read this book more than ever.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's really practical. It walks you through like, hey, do this now. Do this. Download this app. Do this. Have a spreadsheet. Just all this. Sign up for this website. Just very practical stuff that's helpful.
Yep.
So, some good book recommendations.
What'd you say?
I said really good book recommendations. Anything else?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say we've had Ari on the show too, and it was awesome to have him talk.
I think maybe in the 80s. In the 80s somewhere. Maybe.
Yeah, I forget which episode it was, but check that out because super useful, super helpful. Just an inspirational guy too. Also, just keeping your mindset in the right place. That's part of it. That's how you make it.
Awesome. Closing thoughts. Besides that,
keep on keeping on. Let's get back to normal. That's my closing thought, I guess.
All right.
What's your closing thought?
I echo that.
Echo.
Say the word echo.
All right, cool, brother.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.